The alien woman believed the human warrior would be an easy fight until it wasn't. The sky above Arkin Ridge was dark and heavy with clouds. The wind swept over the rocky hills and the miners' camps. The planet was harsh, dry, and full of sharp stones, but it was rich with rare crystals. Humans had only recently arrived here to work alongside aliens. Most aliens looked down on humans as weak and fragile. They laughed at how humans moved and how slowly they adapted. Yet humans worked quietly, carefully, and efficiently. They did not complain and they did not boast. Among these humans was Ethan Cole, a man with brown hair, green eyes, and a calm, quiet presence. He had once served in the Human Defense Forces, but after years of war, he chose a simpler life. Now he was a security officer, responsible for keeping workers safe on the mining colony. Today, Ethan was walking through the training grounds, checking equipment and watching new recruits practice. Alien soldiers moved with strange grace, their muscles large and sharp, their weapons glowing with energy. They attacked and blocked with fast, perfect movements. Ethan observed quietly, nodding to the human trainees as they struggled to keep up. He noticed that humans often failed the first few attempts, but they kept learning. Their mistakes taught them faster than raw strength ever could. Suddenly, a loud, heavy step echoed through the arena. The ground shook slightly. Ethan looked up. She was tall, much taller than any human, with long silver hair that flowed like liquid metal. Her eyes were bright amber and her skin glowed faintly under the lights. Lyra Vex, the alien warrior, had arrived. She carried herself with pride, her armor reflecting the harsh lights of the arena. Every step she took made the trainees freeze and stare. She was part of a warrior race known for their unmatched strength and battle skill. They were feared across multiple planets and they believed humans were weak. Lyra's voice boomed across the grounds. "I have come to see your human warriors. I hear they are fragile, slow, and unworthy of fighting. Show me this one they call Ethan Cole." A few aliens chuckled, clearly enjoying the insult. Ethan felt eyes on him. He did not move. He had faced insults before and he knew this one was a challenge. He stayed calm, keeping his hands relaxed at his sides. Lyra's smile was sharp. "Come forward, human. Show me what you can do. Do not hide behind fear." Ethan hesitated. He did not want to fight in front of a crowd. A public fight could worsen tensions between humans and aliens, but he also could not ignore her disrespect. He stepped into the center of the arena, his boots scraping lightly on the rough floor. Lyra's eyes narrowed. She circled him slowly, her movements smooth and deadly. "I expected this to be easy. I will not waste my strength," she said, almost laughing. She raised her hands and her energy weapon glowed faintly. Ethan only carried a simple training staff, a plain wooden pole. The crowd held its breath. The aliens whispered to each other, certain that Lyra would win in seconds. Even some humans looked worried, their confidence shaken. Lyra lunged first, her movements fast and precise. She struck with a powerful swing. Ethan barely blocked it, stepping back quickly. The force of her blow rattled his arms, and he could feel the wind push him slightly. "Slow," Lyra called, laughing. "Humans fight like children. This will be over quickly." Ethan did not respond. He did not rush to attack. He observed her movements, noting the pattern in her swings, the rhythm of her steps, the way she shifted her weight before striking. His eyes moved carefully, calculating. Each moment he blocked or dodged, he learned something new. Lyra attacked again, faster this time. Ethan pivoted and stepped aside, barely avoiding her blade. He countered with a small strike, but not with power. It was a probing move meant to test her reaction. She scoffed, swiping her arm to block him effortlessly. "Pathetic," she said. Her voice was sharp. "Do you call this fighting? Humans are fools if they think they can stand against my kind." The fight continued. Lyra moved with skill and strength, attacking in unpredictable ways. Ethan blocked, dodged, and occasionally countered with small moves to test her speed. Each attack of hers carried power and precision, and he could feel that one wrong move would be disastrous. Yet he did not panic. His heart beat steadily and his mind remained clear. He moved carefully, using balance, distance, and timing instead of brute force. After a long sequence, Lyra struck hard with a sudden, spinning blow. Ethan tried to block, but the force sent him to the ground. Dust rose around him as he landed with a thud. The crowd gasped. Many aliens cheered loudly, certain she had won. Lyra raised her hands in victory, smiling widely. "See," she said, "the human falls." Weak, slow, and fragile, this was almost no effort. Ethan lay on the ground for a moment, breathing steadily. He was not injured badly, only bruised and winded. He pushed himself up calmly. There was no anger in his eyes, only focus. He dusted off his uniform and looked at her. Lyra studied him. She expected fear, rage, or begging. Instead, he simply stood there. She tilted her head, puzzled. "You are still standing. Why do you not plead or shout?" Ethan spoke softly but firmly. "I do not need to shout or fight to prove anything. Your strength is clear. You do not need my approval." The crowd was silent. The aliens whispered among themselves, confused. Some humans looked at him with new curiosity. Lyra felt a flicker of irritation. She wanted submission and respect, but he gave neither. She had underestimated him, and it annoyed her pride. As the crowd dispersed, Ethan returned to his duties quietly. He helped a young human recruit fix his stance and explained simple movements to improve balance. Lyra, meanwhile, walked away, her mind restless. She had thought humans were weak, but Ethan's calmness disturbed her. She could not figure out why he had survived without panic or error. Unbeknownst to them, outside the colony, raider ships had entered the outer system. The raiders were a brutal alien group led by a commander named Varrock Tau. They had learned of the colony's rich crystal resources and planned to attack. The human defenses were thin, and the aliens did not take the threat seriously yet. Lyra, still focused on her own pride, had no idea of the danger approaching. That evening, Ethan walked through the miners' quarters. He checked security doors, examined sensors, and spoke with workers calmly. Some aliens mocked him quietly, but he ignored them. He spoke to each worker with respect, listening carefully to their concerns. He noticed small details others missed, like a loose cable or a cracked wall panel. He made quick repairs and reported hazards to the maintenance teams. Lyra, on the other side of the colony, sat in her quarters reviewing combat techniques. She replayed the fight in her mind, studying Ethan's movements. She was annoyed that she could not understand his ability to remain calm. She had underestimated him and pride hurt. She vowed to watch him more carefully next time. Meanwhile, Ethan observed other alien trainers and fighters. He quietly took notes, noting their strengths and weaknesses. He did not share much, but he was learning. His experience in human defense forces had taught him to see patterns and anticipate attacks. He understood that brute strength alone could not win every fight. Planning, patience, and observation were just as important. As night fell over Arkin Ridge, the colony lights glimmered in the darkness. Wind howled over the rocky hills, carrying dust and small stones. Ethan stood at the edge of the training ground, looking toward the horizon. He felt a strange tension in the air, like a storm approaching. He did not know exactly what it was, but he knew danger was near. Lyra, in her quarters, finally lay down. She was used to physical pain and exhaustion, but her mind was restless. She could not stop thinking about Ethan. He was only human, yet he did not fear her strength. He moved differently, thought differently, and survived differently. She did not fully understand it, but she sensed that humans had a power she had not recognized before. The first night ended quietly, but the colony was unaware of the storm moving closer. Raider ships moved through the black void, hidden from sensors. Varrock Tau watched the planet on his holographic display, a cruel smile on his face. He knew the humans were new and weak, the alien defenders arrogant and unprepared. He believed victory would be easy. Ethan, unaware of the approaching raiders, finished his patrol and returned to his small quarters. He checked weapons, inspected armor, and prepared for the night. He understood that being ready meant more than fighting. It meant watching, learning, and staying calm. He would not make the mistake of rushing into danger unprepared. Lyra, meanwhile, sat silently in her quarters, reviewing combat forms. She replayed her fight with Ethan in her mind, trying to find his weakness. She wanted another duel, a chance to prove that her strength was supreme. Yet she could not shake the feeling that there was something different about humans, something that made them harder to defeat than she expected. The wind outside carried dust across the colony, whispering like a warning. Ethan stood by the window, staring at the dark horizon. He could feel the tension in the air. A fight was coming, not just for pride but for survival. He did not yet know who the enemy would be, but he prepared quietly, patiently, and fully. Lyra finally stood, stretching her arms. She looked toward the horizon as well, unaware of the raiders but feeling that the calm before the storm was unusual. She had always believed that strength alone could win any battle. Now she was starting to doubt, even if only slightly. The first part of the story ends with a quiet tension over Arkin Ridge. Humans and aliens moved among the mining colony, unaware of the danger approaching. Lyra had believed the human warrior would be an easy fight. Ethan had survived her test without pride or rage. And somewhere beyond the stars, raider ships moved silently, preparing for the chaos that would soon arrive. The morning over Arkin Ridge was quiet, but the calm did not last. Far beyond the rocky hills, raider ships moved slowly through the blackness of space. They were massive, dark, and armed with heavy weapons. Their commander, Varrock Tal, studied the colony through a holographic display, a cruel smile on his face. He had learned about the humans on the planet and the alien defenders, and he believed the attack would be simple. Humans were weak, aliens were arrogant, and the crystals were unprotected. Victory would be easy. Inside the colony, life continued as usual. Miners carried heavy loads of crystals, their boots kicking up dust. Human workers moved carefully, while alien soldiers trained in the arena. Lyra Vex walked among the training grounds, still thinking about Ethan Cole. She could not forget how he had survived their sparring match. His calmness, his patience, the way he studied her moves, it bothered her. She had believed he would be easy to defeat, and yet he had lasted without panic, without fear. She could not admit it, but she was curious to see how he would act in a real fight. Ethan, meanwhile, walked through the mining sectors, checking security panels, repairing sensors, and quietly observing workers. He did not speak much, but his eyes missed nothing. He noticed small cracks in walls, loose cables, and areas where miners were exposed to danger. He quietly fixed problems, making notes for the maintenance teams. He also observed the alien soldiers, noting their strengths and weaknesses. Their movements were strong, precise, but often predictable. He smiled slightly. Humans may be smaller and slower, but their brains and patience could outmatch raw strength if used wisely. Suddenly, alarms blared across the colony. Red lights flashed and loud warnings echoed in the corridors. Incoming ships. "Alert all defenses," called one of the alien commanders. Panic rippled through the workers. Many humans ran to shelters, while some aliens rushed to their posts. Ethan stayed calm. He immediately moved to the control center, checking sensors and scanning the incoming ships. He could see dozens of raider vessels approaching from the outer rim. They were larger than anything the colony had faced before, and heavily armed. Lyra vaulted onto a high observation platform, scanning the sky. Her amber eyes narrowed. She had fought many enemies before, but she did not expect the raider fleet to be this organized. Their ships moved in formation, their weapons glowing, ready to fire. She felt a flicker of fear, quickly suppressed. She was strong, faster, and trained to fight anyone. Yet something about this made her uneasy. Ethan stepped beside her. "These ships are heavily armed," he said calmly. "If we just rush to fight them, many people will die. We need a plan." Lyra glanced at him. "A plan? Humans usually panic and die in battle." "Why should I listen to you?" Ethan did not answer directly. He simply pointed to the sensors and maps. "They move in patterns. They have heavy assault units but also scout ships. If we block the scouts first and use terrain traps, we can slow them down. Then we can organize defense squads to protect civilians." Lyra frowned, clearly annoyed. "You think humans can stop this fleet with a plan? Strength is all that matters in battle. Watch and learn." The first raider ships arrived in orbit. Energy beams cut through the atmosphere, hitting mining stations and causing explosions. Dust and smoke rose into the sky. Workers screamed, running for cover. Alien soldiers fired back with energy rifles, but their attacks were scattered. The raiders moved faster than expected, coordinating their strikes. Lyra dove into the thick of battle, fighting with fierce energy. She knocked several raiders off balance, her blows powerful and precise. Yet there were too many of them, and she could not cover the entire colony alone. Ethan moved through the chaos calmly. He directed human and alien workers to safe areas, barricaded entrances, and set up traps along narrow passages. He coordinated teams using simple but effective communication. He did not fight much at first, instead using his mind to control the battlefield. Slowly, his influence became clear. Small groups of raiders were funneled into traps, caught by walls that collapsed or pits disguised under metal plates. Automated defense drones, a mix of alien technology and human programming, fired at enemies in calculated bursts. Lyra noticed the effect of Ethan's planning. She had never seen a human fight like this. Humans did not rely on brute strength alone. They used observation, patience, and small tools to control the fight. She began to follow him more closely, fighting side by side. Together, they defended several key positions, but the raiders continued to push forward, their machines breaking barriers and attacking civilians. Varrock Tal, the raider commander, landed personally with a group of elite soldiers. Their armor was heavy, their weapons massive. The elite soldiers moved with deadly precision. Lyra charged at them, her strikes powerful, but even she struggled against their advanced technology. She was forced to retreat several times, narrowly avoiding deadly blows. For the first time, she felt the need for help. Ethan arrived with a small team, including medic Claire Benson and pilot Logan Price. Claire immediately began treating wounded workers and soldiers. Logan coordinated small air patrols to attack raider ships. Ethan directed their movements carefully, predicting where the enemy would strike next. He moved among the soldiers, giving calm instructions and correcting mistakes. His presence was steady, unshaken, and clear. Together, Ethan and Lyra made a strong team. She fought fiercely on the front lines, protecting civilians and blocking raider attacks. Ethan used traps, terrain, and careful planning to control the battlefield. The raiders were powerful, but their coordination was beginning to fail under human strategy. During one attack on a mining station, Varrock Tal himself advanced. His massive weapon struck the ground with force, sending tremors through the colony. Several alien soldiers were knocked down or injured. Lyra met him head-on, her energy blade slicing through the air. Varrock blocked her strikes easily, pushing her back. She realized that brute strength alone would not win this fight. Ethan appeared at her side. He analyzed Varrock's movements quickly. "He repeats the same strike pattern after each heavy swing," Ethan whispered. "Time your attack between swings and you can break his balance." Lyra nodded, still unwilling to admit full respect. She followed Ethan's advice, waiting for the moment he predicted. When Varrock swung heavily, she sidestepped and struck a joint in his armor. He roared and stumbled slightly. Ethan immediately attacked with precise timing, disabling a part of his weapon system. Together, they forced him to retreat temporarily. The small victory inspired the defenders. Humans and aliens began working together more efficiently, following Ethan's calm instructions. Traps were used effectively, barricades held, and injured workers were evacuated safely. Lyra could not hide her surprise. She had believed humans were weak, slow, and fragile. Now she saw that they could think, adapt, and survive even against enemies far stronger than themselves. As the battle continued, Ethan moved to check other sectors. He found areas where civilians were trapped and led small rescue teams through dangerous corridors. His calmness and patience prevented panic and chaos. Lyra, fighting beside him, started to rely on his judgment. She was not used to trusting anyone, especially humans, but she could not deny his skill. Hours passed. The raiders attacked again and again, but the defenders held their ground. Every time a group of raiders broke through, Ethan used strategy to counter them. Every time Lyra faced an elite soldier, Ethan's timing helped her win. Slowly, she realized that human strength was different from her own. Humans may not have raw power, but their intelligence, patience, and teamwork made them formidable. As night fell over Arkin Ridge, the raiders began to retreat to their ships. Their losses were heavier than expected and their morale was shaken. Varrock Tal, furious, retreated with his elite soldiers. The colony was damaged, but it had survived. Workers cheered, alien soldiers clapped, and humans shared quiet smiles. Ethan walked through the battleground calmly, checking for anyone still in danger. He did not celebrate. He knew the fight was not over, only delayed. Lyra stood beside him, exhausted and bruised. She looked at him differently now. The human warrior she had believed would be an easy fight had proven far more capable than she imagined. She still carried pride, but now it was mixed with respect. She could not fully admit it, but she knew she had learned something important. Strength alone was not enough. Strategy, patience, and calmness could change the outcome of battle. Ethan helped wounded workers and soldiers, including alien allies, into safer areas. He spoke quietly, offering instructions and encouragement. He never shouted or demanded attention, yet everyone followed him because he inspired trust. Lyra watched, slowly understanding that leadership could be more powerful than raw skill. After the battle, as the colony tried to repair itself, Ethan and Lyra met in a quiet corridor. She did not speak at first, only looked at him with a mixture of frustration and curiosity. Ethan nodded politely. "You fought well," he said simply. Lyra's eyes narrowed. "You humans, you survive in ways I do not understand. Today you were everywhere yet nowhere at the same time. You thought ahead, planned, and coordinated. I underestimated you." Ethan smiled slightly. "Humans survive because we have to. We are not the strongest, but we learn, adapt, and work together. That is how we endure." Lyra did not answer immediately. She turned away, still unwilling to fully admit respect. But inside she felt a shift. The human warrior was not weak. He was clever, patient, and able to face dangers far greater than himself. The part ended with the colony damaged but alive. Humans and aliens had fought side by side, and the raiders had retreated, but Ethan knew this was only the beginning. The raiders would return, stronger and better prepared. Lyra knew now that her pride alone would not protect the colony. Both would need to prepare, learn, and trust each other in ways neither had before. The calm of the night over Arkin Ridge was temporary. Smoke rose from damaged buildings, miners whispered to each other, and the stars above hid the approaching threat. Ethan walked through the corridors, quietly checking every corner. Lyra followed him, silently acknowledging that the human warrior was not what she had expected. And far beyond the planet, Varrock Tal watched, planning his return. The storm was not over after the raider attack. The colony was damaged but still standing. Miners and workers moved through the ruins, repairing broken walls and salvaging what they could. Smoke rose from shattered buildings, and alarms continued to echo in some areas where fires had not yet been controlled. Alien commanders argued about how to prepare for another attack. Many wanted to launch direct assaults on the raiders before they returned. Others argued that the colony needed stronger defenses first. The humans, quiet but watchful, worked in the background to help stabilize the colony. Ethan Cole walked through the corridors, observing everything calmly. He spoke to humans and aliens alike, asking questions about supplies, weapons, and injured personnel. He was not loud or demanding, but everyone listened because they could trust him. He checked defenses, calculated possible attack points, and noted weaknesses that could be exploited by raiders. He knew their first strike had been aggressive, but the raiders had been organized and strategic. Next time, they would be even more dangerous. Lyra Vex watched him as he moved. She had been injured slightly during the previous battle, but she refused to hide. She patrolled the colony, checked weapon stockpiles, and supervised alien soldiers. Her pride was still strong, but she could no longer deny that humans had skills worth noticing. Ethan had coordinated defenses and saved lives while she had been fighting on the front lines. She had relied on him without admitting it, and that was unusual for her. She felt irritation, but also respect. Ethan called a meeting in the control center. The room was crowded with alien commanders, human security officers, and senior workers. Maps of the colony and surrounding terrain covered the walls. He did not raise his voice, but his calm presence made everyone focus. He pointed to sensors and showed patterns of the previous raider attack. They attacked in waves, he said. Their scouts look for weak points. Their heavy units strike where defenses are scattered. If we place obstacles and traps in narrow passages, we can slow them down. If we coordinate defense squads in layers, we can protect civilians and control the battlefield. Many aliens frowned. This is complicated, one said. We could just attack them head-on. Strength wins battles. Ethan shook his head. Strength alone failed last time. We cannot fight them with pride. We need patience, planning, and teamwork. Everyone has a role. Humans, aliens, miners, technicians, they all matter. Lyra crossed her arms, still skeptical. Humans usually panic. I will not waste my time waiting while you hope they do not fail. Ethan looked at her calmly. They will not fail if we prepare them. If we train everyone to understand their role, they can survive. Humans learn quickly when they know what to do. Your warriors fight well. If we combine your skill with human planning, we can win. She did not respond, but inside she considered his words. She had been trained to fight alone, to rely on strength and instinct. She had never needed patience or coordination. Yet in the last battle, her strength alone had not been enough. She had needed Ethan's calm thinking to survive. Reluctantly, she decided to follow his plan. Over the next several days, the colony worked tirelessly. Ethan organized training sessions for humans and aliens together. They practiced coordinated attacks, evacuations, and trap setups. He emphasized small, simple commands, clear communication, and teamwork. Alien warriors, initially impatient and dismissive, began to follow instructions. They watched Ethan move calmly, correcting mistakes without shouting. Slowly, respect grew. Even Lyra noticed the difference. Nina Hart, an alien engineer, and Claire Benson, a human medic, worked together to build stronger defenses. They combined alien energy shields with human sensors to detect incoming enemies. Traps were designed using both alien strength and human creativity. Logan Price, a human pilot, coordinated small drone patrols to give early warnings of raider movements. Every person had a role. Every action was important. Lyra struggled with the human style of planning. Her warrior instincts told her to act immediately, strike hard, and rely on her strength. She had to learn patience, follow orders, and coordinate with humans. She disliked it, but she could not ignore the effectiveness of the results. She began to trust Ethan's judgment, though she refused to admit it aloud. One afternoon, Ethan and Lyra walked together through the mining sectors, checking barricades and traps. Dust swirled around them as miners worked quickly to repair walls. Ethan pointed to a narrow corridor. "This is a likely entry point. We will place heavy obstacles here and station small defense teams in layers. The traps will slow them, and the teams can attack from multiple directions." Lyra nodded reluctantly. "I still think strength will win faster," she said. "Strength without coordination failed before," Ethan replied simply. "This time, we will survive and protect everyone." That evening, Ethan held another meeting with senior personnel. He explained the defense plan in detail. They would not fight head-on initially. Small teams would defend narrow passages, using traps and obstacles. Automated drones would provide support. Civilians and miners would be evacuated to secure zones. Lyra's warriors would strike at critical moments, providing powerful blows where strategy allowed. As night fell, Ethan walked through the corridors, checking defenses and speaking quietly to soldiers. He encouraged them to remain calm, explaining what to do in each situation. Even those who were afraid felt steadier after hearing his instructions. Lyra followed him silently, observing how he moved. She had fought many enemies before, but she had never seen a human lead with such calm confidence. The next day, the raider ships were detected on the outer rim again. This time, they were larger and more organized. Scouts moved ahead, probing defenses. Ethan and Lyra quickly deployed their teams. Humans and aliens took positions at prepared points. Traps were armed, drones activated, and evacuation routes secured. Every person had a clear role. Lyra fought on the front lines as usual, but she now followed Ethan's signals. She blocked raider strikes, protected civilians, and waited for the right moment to attack. She realized that patience, combined with her strength, made her more effective than before. She felt a strange sense of respect for the humans she had once thought weak. Ethan stayed behind the lines, coordinating teams, monitoring sensors, and giving calm instructions. He used simple tactics, force the enemy into narrow passages, slow their movement, and strike when they are vulnerable. The humans and aliens worked together like a single organism. Every soldier, worker, and medic contributed to the defense. Varrock Tal, the raider commander, landed personally with elite soldiers. He expected the colony to be chaotic, but he was surprised. Defenses were organized, traps were effective, and every attack was met with a coordinated response. He struck fiercely at the front lines, but Lyra and her warriors met him with strength guided by strategy. Ethan predicted his moves and instructed teams to counter each assault. The battle raged for hours. Raider forces were powerful, but they could not break the organized defense. Civilians were evacuated safely. Drones targeted enemy weapons. Traps slowed and damaged raider soldiers. Every time Varrock tried a heavy attack, Lyra countered it at the moment Ethan predicted. She had never fought like this before. Her strikes were stronger, more precise, and timed perfectly with human planning. During one crucial moment, Varrock tried to strike Lyra with a massive weapon. She was nearly knocked down, but Ethan's warning allowed her to dodge at the right time. She struck a joint in his armor, slowing him. Ethan immediately coordinated other teams to flank the raiders. Varrock realized he had underestimated the humans. His elite soldiers began to fall into traps. Panic spread among his forces. After hours of fighting, the raiders retreated to their ships, their morale broken. The colony was battered, but it had survived. Humans and aliens had fought together, using both strength and strategy. Lyra walked through the aftermath, bruised but alive. She looked at Ethan, her expression unreadable. Inside, she knew that humans were stronger than she had thought. Strength alone was not the answer. Planning, patience, and teamwork could overcome raw power. Ethan moved among the wounded, helping wherever he could. He spoke calmly, encouraging everyone. Even alien soldiers, proud and fierce, acknowledged his guidance. Lyra followed silently, learning that leadership could be more effective than sheer strength. She had never admitted it, but she was beginning to respect the human warrior. That night, the colony worked to repair damage and reinforce defenses. Ethan and Lyra walked together through the corridors. Smoke and dust filled the air. Miners whispered about the humans who had led them. Alien soldiers spoke quietly about the effectiveness of the plan. Ethan remained calm, checking traps and barricades. Lyra observed silently, realizing that her pride had underestimated the humans. The raiders had been forced to retreat, but Ethan knew it was only temporary. They would return stronger and more prepared. Lyra knew this as well. She had believed humans were weak, but the human warrior had shown patience, strategy, and leadership. She could not deny it. Together, humans and aliens had survived against an enemy far stronger than expected. The calm of the night over Arkin Ridge was quiet but tense. Smoke rose from damaged structures, miners whispered as they worked, and stars above hid the approaching dangers. Ethan stood at the edge of the colony, looking toward the horizon. Lyra joined him silently. She did not speak, but her presence was a silent acknowledgement. The human warrior was not weak, and the future battle would need both strength and wisdom to survive. The morning over Arkin Ridge was tense. The sky was gray, the wind carried dust, and the colony prepared for the coming battle. Ethan Cole walked quietly through the streets, checking defenses and coordinating last-minute preparations. Every human and alien soldier had been assigned a position, every trap was set, and every drone ready for action. He spoke softly but firmly, giving simple instructions. Each word mattered. Lyra Vex stood beside him, her energy blade slung over her shoulder. She watched soldiers and civilians with sharp amber eyes, scanning for weaknesses. Her pride was still strong, but she no longer doubted human strategy. Ethan had prepared the colony carefully, and she trusted his judgment. She had learned patience, timing, and coordination. Together, they had a chance to survive what was coming. Far in orbit, raider ships moved silently. Varrock Tal observed the colony through a holographic display, his face dark with anger. He had expected an easy victory, but the defenses surprised him. Yet he believed his elite soldiers and heavy weapons would overcome any trap. He ordered his fleet into position, ready to strike with overwhelming force. The first raider ships fired energy beams at the outer defenses. Explosions lit the sky as walls and barricades shook. Alarms blared. Miners and civilians ran for cover. Ethan remained calm. He moved between defense stations, checking traps, drones, and teams. He gave small, clear instructions. Hold the line. Wait for my signal. Watch the traps. His calm voice spread steadiness among everyone. Lyra ran to the front lines, her energy blade glowing. She struck down raiders who tried to break through barricades, her speed and strength unmatched. Yet she followed Ethan's signals, attacking at precise moments to complement the traps and human teams. She felt a strange satisfaction in fighting this way, realizing that patience made her more dangerous than she had been before. Varrock Tal landed with elite soldiers, massive and armored. He struck with powerful weapons, moving quickly to destroy key defenses. Lyra met him head-on, her blade clashing with his armor. Sparks flew as metal met metal. He pushed her back with every strike, and she felt the first real fear of defeat. Ethan arrived with a squad of human and alien soldiers. He moved calmly, analyzing Varrock's patterns. "Wait for the heavy strike," he whispered to Lyra. "Dodge left, then hit his joint. Now." She followed his advice, sidestepping the massive swing. Her blade struck a weak point in his armor, slowing him. Ethan then led a small team to attack from behind, targeting the raiders' heavy weapons. Coordinated fire from drones and soldiers caused chaos among the elite soldiers. Varrock stumbled, surprised by the timing and coordination. The raider forces were strong, but the traps worked. Barricades collapsed under controlled explosions, sending raiders into pits and narrow passages. Drones targeted weapons and engines, disabling machines. Every action had a purpose. Every human and alien soldier contributed. Even miners helped, moving quickly to block entrances and assist wounded. Lyra realized that this battle was different. Before, she had relied on her strength and instinct alone. Now, her attacks were amplified by human strategy. Every strike she made counted, every movement coordinated. She had never felt this level of effectiveness before. Even her pride shifted slightly. She respected the humans for their planning and endurance. Ethan moved between teams, predicting enemy attacks. He communicated through small gestures and short commands. Flank left, wait, fire now. Each command caused chaos for the raiders and precision for defenders. Humans and aliens moved together like one organism, reacting quickly and efficiently. Varrock Tal grew frustrated. His elite soldiers were falling into traps, blocked by barricades and attacked from unexpected angles. He tried to strike at Lyra again, swinging his massive weapon. She dodged with precision, timed by Ethan's signals, and struck back hard, damaging his armor further. He roared in anger and retreated slightly, forcing his remaining soldiers to regroup. Ethan directed the next wave. Human teams moved through narrow passages, setting traps for the remaining raiders. Alien warriors struck where strength was needed most. Drones fired in coordinated bursts, targeting weapons, engines, and armored soldiers. Miners and workers evacuated wounded and supplied weapons. The colony's defense was now a well-coordinated machine, stronger than any single soldier could be. Varrock Tal tried one last heavy strike with his war machine, aiming for the main crystal vault. Lyra intercepted, her blade glowing. Ethan calculated the machine's movement and directed teams to block escape routes. The raider soldiers were trapped, caught between traps and coordinated attacks. The war machine faltered under constant strikes, sparks flying from damaged circuits. Lyra and Ethan moved together to face Varrock Tal. She attacked from the front, powerful and precise. Ethan attacked from behind, striking weak points in the armor. Coordinated fire from drones and teams kept the raiders off balance. Varrock stumbled, struggling to regain control. His confidence began to crumble. Finally, with one well-timed strike from Lyra and precise support from Ethan, Varrock Tal was disarmed and forced to retreat. His elite soldiers, seeing their leader defeated, began to flee. Drones and human teams blocked their escape, forcing many into traps. The raiders were broken and in chaos. The battle ended with the raiders retreating into orbit, damaged and demoralized. The colony was battered, with fires burning and walls damaged, but the people were alive. Humans and aliens had survived together. Strength and strategy had combined to overcome raw power. Lyra walked through the battlefield, bruised but alive. She saw wounded humans and aliens, drones broken but functional, and miners helping each other. She looked at Ethan, her expression unreadable. Inside, she admitted something she would never say aloud. Humans were strong in ways she had never understood. Strength alone was not enough. Patience, planning, and teamwork made humans dangerous. Ethan moved calmly, helping wounded and checking for remaining threats. He spoke softly to soldiers, offering guidance and encouragement. His calm presence kept everyone steady, even in chaos. Alien soldiers nodded to him silently, acknowledging his leadership. After the battle, the colony began repairing damage. Smoke rose from destroyed walls, miners whispered about survival, and alien soldiers patrolled cautiously. Ethan and Lyra walked together, checking defenses and encouraging workers. Lyra spoke quietly. "I thought humans were weak. I was wrong." Ethan nodded slightly. Strength is not only in the body. It is also in patience, planning, and cooperation. Humans survive because we adapt. Lyra did not respond immediately. She was still proud, but she understood. She had believed the human warrior would be an easy fight. Now she knew that human strength could match or surpass brute power when used wisely. The night over Arkin Ridge was quiet but tense. Fires smoldered, dust settled, and stars shone above. Ethan checked defenses one last time. Lyra joined him silently. Together they had survived the storm. Together they had proven that humans, even seemingly weak ones, could endure and triumph when guided by patience and strategy. The battle had been won, but the colony knew it could not be careless. Ethan and Lyra worked to strengthen defenses, train civilians, and prepare for any future threats. Trust had grown between humans and aliens, a bond forged in the heat of battle. The story of this battle would be remembered among the people of Arkin Ridge. Humans were no longer seen as fragile or weak. They were survivors, strategists, and warriors in their own right. Lyra Vex, once proud and dismissive, now understood the value of patience and teamwork. She had learned that strength alone was not victory. The human warrior had taught her a lesson she would never forget. The stars above were quiet, but both Ethan and Lyra knew that challenges would come again. Yet they were ready. Together, humans and aliens had defended their home. Together, they had learned that unity, planning, and courage could overcome even the most powerful enemies. And somewhere beyond the horizon, the raiders would think twice before returning the morning after the battle was quiet but busy. Smoke still rose from broken buildings, and the ground was scattered with debris. Humans and aliens worked together to repair the colony, rebuild walls, and check equipment. Wounded soldiers were treated by medics like Claire Benson, while engineers like Nina Hart repaired drones, weapons, and shields. Every person had a task, and everyone worked with a purpose. The colony was alive, and its people had survived the storm. Ethan Cole walked through the main streets, observing the repairs. He spoke quietly to workers, checking that no one was overworked and that everyone had what they needed. He did not boast about the battle or his role. He had helped lead, yes, but he focused on helping people survive and recover. Miners and soldiers alike nodded to him, showing respect. He had proven that humans could endure, adapt, and lead. Lyra Vex moved alongside him. She had bruises and scratches, but her posture was proud. She had fought in the battle with strength, yet now she carried understanding. She had learned something she had never expected. Human warriors could be strong in ways she had never imagined. Her pride remained, but it was tempered by respect. She watched humans work quietly, efficiently, and carefully. Every action mattered, and every person contributed to the survival of the colony. The alien commanders gathered in the main hall. Many of them had fought alongside humans for the first time. They spoke quietly, some with frustration, some with admiration. They had seen the humans coordinate, plan, and act with patience. They had witnessed how Ethan had predicted raider attacks, guided soldiers, and saved lives. Their previous belief that humans were weak had been challenged, and they could not deny the truth. Lyra stood among them silently. Finally, she spoke, her voice firm. Humans are not weak. Strength is not only in muscle or armor. Strength is in patience, planning, and endurance. The human warrior I faced, he is not easy to defeat. He is clever, calm, and dangerous in ways we did not see before. He saved lives, he saved soldiers, and he saved this colony. The commanders were quiet. Her words carried weight. Many nodded slowly, realizing that humans had proven themselves. Some humans in the room felt proud, but they stayed humble. Ethan did not boast. He only stood quietly, acknowledging the statement with a small nod. He understood that respect earned from deeds was more valuable than praise. Miners and workers continued repairs, guided by both humans and aliens. Ethan visited each repair team, helping wherever he could. He checked structures, reassured workers, and encouraged careful rebuilding. Lyra watched him move. She had never seen such quiet leadership before. He did not rely on strength or fear to lead. He led with calm, patience, and clear instructions. She realized that true strength could come without boasting, without pride, and without showing power. The colony held a small ceremony to honor those who had fallen. Humans, aliens, and even some of the injured workers gathered in the main hall. Ethan stood quietly at the side, watching as the leader spoke. Lyra approached him. "You did more than fight," she said softly. "You led, you kept people alive. Humans, you are not easy to defeat, and now many of my people know it." Ethan smiled faintly. Strength comes in many forms. Humans survive because we adapt, learn, and work together. Everyone contributed, not just me. Lyra nodded. She had learned to respect the truth in his words. She remembered the first day she had challenged him, thinking he would be an easy fight. Now she understood that humans had a power hidden in patience, unity, and cleverness. She had underestimated them, and she would never make that mistake again. In the following days, the colony rebuilt faster than expected. Humans and aliens shared knowledge. Alien warriors taught combat techniques, while humans taught tactical planning and strategy. Engineers worked together to improve defenses. Drones, energy shields, and traps were upgraded with input from both species. The experience had united them. Trust had grown and respect had solidified. Ethan continued to train human and alien soldiers. He focused on teamwork, coordination, and patience. Lyra joined him, teaching warriors combat skills while learning human tactics. Their partnership became a model for cooperation. Soldiers learned to fight as one, combining strength, skill, and strategy. The colony's defenses became stronger than ever. Miners and civilians were safer now. Evacuation routes were improved, shelters reinforced, and communication systems upgraded. Humans, who had once been underestimated, were now seen as vital contributors to survival. The aliens who had mocked them before now listened to their advice, followed their instructions, and acknowledged their strength. One evening, Ethan and Lyra stood on a high ridge overlooking the colony. The sky was calm, the stars reflected on the dusty terrain, and the wind carried the quiet sounds of work. Lyra broke the silence. "I once thought the human warrior would be easy to defeat. I was wrong. You are clever, patient, and strong in ways I did not understand. Your kind has earned respect." Ethan nodded. "Humans survive because we adapt. We do not need to be the strongest physically. Our strength comes from learning, patience, and unity. Together with others, we can face anything." Lyra smiled faintly. Her pride remained, but it was tempered by understanding. She had learned to respect humans not because of brute strength, but because of endurance, intelligence, and courage. She had seen it in Ethan, and she had seen it in the other humans who had contributed to the survival of the colony. The colony continued to rebuild. Walls were repaired, energy shields strengthened, and drones upgraded. Miners returned to their work safely, knowing that humans and aliens had protected them together. Soldiers trained, sharing knowledge and experience. Trust had grown among all species. Weeks passed, and the threat of raiders remained, but the colony was ready. Humans and aliens had prepared, learned, and strengthened defenses. Ethan and Lyra worked together, their partnership now unspoken but strong. Each respected the other's abilities and contributions. They had survived battles, and they had learned the power of patience, strategy, and unity. One day, new scouts reported raider ships on the outer rim. This time, the colony was ready. Defenses were strong, drones ready, and soldiers trained. Ethan gave calm, simple instructions. Lyra led warriors to strategic points. Humans and aliens worked together seamlessly. The raiders realized immediately that this colony would not be an easy target. Ethan and Lyra watched from the command center. They were calm, steady, and ready. They knew the next battle would test them again, but they were prepared. The colony was stronger, smarter, and united. Humans had proven themselves, and the aliens had learned to respect them. Pride had been tempered by understanding, and courage had been reinforced by preparation. As the sun set over Arkin Ridge, The sky glowed orange and pink. The repairs were nearly complete and the colony was alive and thriving. Ethan looked at Lyra and she nodded slightly. Words were not needed. They had learned to trust each other. They had learned that strength alone was not enough. Survival required patience, planning, and unity. The raiders might return, but the colony would endure. Humans had shown their hidden strength. Aliens had learned the value of strategy and patience. Together, they had survived the storm. The human warrior had proven that even when underestimated, courage, intelligence, and unity could overcome the strongest enemy. And so, Arkin Ridge stood, alive and ready. Humans and aliens worked side by side, stronger for what they had learned. Lyra once believed the human warrior would be an easy fight. Now she knew better. Humans were clever, patient, and brave, and as long as they stood together, nothing could break them. The stars shone brightly over the rocky hills. The wind carried dust across the rebuilt colony. Ethan walked among the workers quietly, helping wherever he could. Lyra followed, silently observing, ready to fight again if needed. The human warrior had proven himself and the colony had survived. Respect had been earned, bonds forged, and a new era had begun. Aryan Ridge, once a vulnerable mining colony, was now a symbol of endurance. Humans and aliens would face challenges again, but they were ready. They had learned that strength came not only from the body, but from the mind, patience, and unity. And at the center of it all, the human warrior had shown the way. The story ended with quiet hope. The battle was over, but life continued. Humans were no longer underestimated. Lyra had learned respect. Ethan had proven that courage and intelligence could face any challenge. The colony had survived, stronger and united, ready for whatever the stars might bring.